somehow got it released, showing in television late at night. It's what we call ghetto hours, like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's if you wanted, occasionally it would come up, playing out in outer space, 3 o'clock, you know. And I thought, I felt so sad about Ed Reynolds and the problem. But in a way, amazingly enough, that crazy film, as bad as it was, began to catch on. People thought it was amazing. It was so bad that it was funny. And people began to like that film, and it began to draw fans. I'm told that Steven Spielberg would, when he'd have a dinner for friends, after the dinner he would put on Plan 9 Outer Space. And they would sit there and enjoy that film and laugh about it. And it began to get popularity. I still get fan mail. Though I'm retired, I still get fan mail. And most of the fan mail is in connection with Plan 9 from Outer Space. So the picture somehow grew in popularity. It became very popular across, and it began a cult classic. Now, I'll stop right now with Plan 9 from Outer Space, but let me conclude by saying a little bit about how I did resurrect my defunct, my terrible career that had gone down the drain on account of Plan 9. My agents couldn't get me a job. So anyway, I had to do something to resurrect my career. And I'll tell this very fast because I think it's important. A friend of mine gave me a book. I was trying to think of ways to get into business and get important again. A friend of mine gave me a book. Now you listen to this, it'll help you out. He gave me a book written by an insurance salesman called How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success by Selling Insurance. I thought, gee, and it worked for him. I read that book carefully. He had a theory that if he could see 4 prospects a day, he could make it in the insurance business. What he would do, he would go to an office, see the secretary, and he would say to the girl or secretary, I want to see Mr. Jones, and I promise to be just 1 minute. Promise to be just 1 minute. And how can you turn someone down that just makes that kind of a promise? So he became very successful as an insurance salesman. I thought, well, if it worked for him, maybe it'll work for me as being an actor. So I decided I was going to try to see 4 people in the industry a day. In the industry, it could have been a cop, it could have been a secretary, it could have been a big... Well, anyway, I started out with the idea of seeing 4 people a day. Some days I'd see 4, some days I wouldn't see any. Some days I'd see 2. But it began to work for me, and I used his technique, his strategy. I would go to the guard at the gate or the secretary to this big director or producer, and I would say, may I see Mr. Zanuck? I promise to be just 1 minute. Promise to be just 1 minute. I wouldn't sit down. She'd look at me, and she knew my sincerity. I mean, if a person says 1 minute, you can't let them leave without giving them at least a chance. So I got into the office of any number of important people in Hollywood by saying, I promise to be just 1 minute. I promise. I got into the office of quite a few important people, and I began to get parts here and there. I got a nice part on Rawhide. I got a nice part on Wells Fargo Wagon Train. And then I eventually wound up with my own TV series. I did a lot of bonanzas, and I began to make good friends because I worked very hard. That's the key. If a director, a writer, producer, or a star sees how intent and how much you are conscious, how much you want to do your job, they are impressed with that enthusiasm. That's the key, enthusiasm. Instead of going to a dressing room between a scene, I stand behind the camera and look. Now, if you're directing a picture, you have an actor that's just observing intently. You're going to do something with that actor because you know he'll do a good job. And I was so into it. And the could tell that I was interested. They liked my enthusiasm. That's the key, enthusiasm. So I made friends with Clint Eastwood, and he was then into making feature films. He had a big success in Italy and spaghetti westerns, and he liked me because I worked hard and I could do my own fights and stunts. And then I went on from Clint's pictures. I got a call from my agent one day who said, there's a young director over at Universal that wants to meet you. He saw you in one of the Eastwood films. He said his name is Steven Spielberg. I never heard of Steven Spielberg. So I went over to Universal and ushered into his office, and there sat this kid that looked like he was about 22 or 34 years old, just a young whippersnapper. He's sitting on his feet behind his desk, and he said, Greg, I saw you in some Eastwood film. He said, I liked what you did. He says, I'm doing a picture with Goldie Hawn called Sugarland Express. That's a nice part in there of a cop, and I'd like for you to consider doing that. And he said, take the script home and read it, and if you like the part, it's yours. So I liked the part, and I did Steven Spielberg's very first feature film. I think at this point I will kind of close down and see what's on the agenda for question and answers or anything else. So, but before I go, I want to give this book to one of you whose birthday is today or tomorrow. Who has a birthday today? Whose birthday is the closest today?
I had a birthday yesterday.
Oh, that's pretty close. I want to give you that book. It's about my...
Appreciate it. Thank you.
There's a lot of stories in there about my working experience.
I love it.
Well, you will. It's very good reading. You can, if you want me to sign it, I'll be glad to when you're over.
Oh, I sure will. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Let me come over here and join this sweet lady.
Come on over.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Greg. If anyone does have the opportunity, I know this is a kind of a pitch, but I had the opportunity to read Greg's book, and it's full of insight, very poignant moments, and if you have the opportunity, it's really kind of an insider's who's who of Hollywood. And I would highly recommend you take a look at this. It's a fabulous book, really. So before we open it up, I mean, we can open it up, and I know you probably have a lot of questions, do you? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I was always interested too, Greg. I mean, you've worked next to some of the greatest in Hollywood, yourself being one of them. Who was your favorite? Who was your favorite to work with? Actor.
Gregory Peck.
And why?
He was so professional and a gentleman. I like Charlton Heston too.
Right.
And as for a woman, I admire and love and adore Angela Lansbury.
Oh, you did mention her. You mentioned her in the book. You said, "Here comes Angela, the Queen."
Angela the Queen, yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, Angela never was stuck on herself. She was always very humble, very sweet, very professional, well trained, and she'd come to work and she knew everybody on the set. Knew the technicians by the first name. On the first day on the show, I was getting makeup. She came on the set and walked right up to me and said, "Hello, Greg. We're glad to have you on the show. We'll have fun." You know, she was just that kind of person, but very, very professional. I admire her so much.
Good. How about Charlton Heston and Gregory Peck? What did you do with them?
I did a picture with Gregory Peck called Captain Newman, M.D. Senior moment.
Just so many to file through.
Captain Newman, M.D., and I had a nice role with him, and he too was very courteous and knew his work well. He came to work prepared, and I admired him so much. One day the sound man said to him, "Mr. Peck, would you speak a